things are not going well for Tesla. It turns out that your founder, in inverted commas, and CEO being so closely entwined with Donald Trump is not necessarily great for business. Some of you would already have seen that last week, in fact pretty much bang on last week, there was a special event at the White House when Donald Trump hosted a kind of weird low-budget car show. And on the nation's cameras, ostentatiously bought a car to show his support for Elon Musk.
President Trump, are you looking to buy or lease today?
Well, I'm going to buy, and I'm going to buy because, number one, it's a great product, as good as it gets, and number two, because this man has devoted his energy and his life to doing this, and I think he's been treated very unfairly by a very small group of people. And I just want people to know that you can't be penalized for being a patriot. And he's a great patriot. And he's also done an incredible job with Tesla. And I mean, nobody else has a car company started up in the last 30 years that's been successful. I don't think so. And not only successful, but super successful.
It is the president doing an ad read, as first thing Budget says. This presidency is brought to you by Tesla.
Because he's able to find billions and billions and billions of dollars of fraud and waste and all of the things. I mean, our country is going to be very strong very soon because of a lot of the things that he's done and a lot of the things that I'm doing. And there's no better team, but there's no better for what we're doing. There's nobody like this, and he shouldn't be penalized. And when I watched the other day, I said, I can't believe it. It should be the opposite. People should be going wild, and they love the product, but because he's finding all sorts of terrible things that have taken place against our country, they want to penalize him in a economic sense, and I just think that's very
Sorry, the zoom into him is incredible, whoever chose to do that.
Unfair. So I just wanted to make a statement. I'm going to buy one. Now, here's the bad news. I'm not allowed to drive because I haven't driven a car in a long time, and I love to drive cars. But I'm going to have it at the White House, and I'm going to let my staff use it. I'm going to let people at the place use it.
The place. People at the place. This is a fun fact about US presidents, is that they are not allowed to drive ever. Once you are the president, you're never allowed to drive again, because the risk of you having a car accident is too high for them to let you do that. So you have a professional driver for the rest of your life. Because, you know, the Secret Service does not only exist to protect you from, you know, bullets or whatever, it also exists to protect you from yourself. And of course, the reason that this is happening is that things are going pretty bad for Tesla all over the place. Far beyond anything that I ever thought could happen. The figure that's been reported quite a lot is kind of the last month or so. So since February the 17th, February the 18th, Tesla has lost a significant amount of its value as a stock. 32.79% month on month. That is just off a third in value. Which is, it's worth saying, huge. Elon Musk owns sort of between 12 and 13% of Tesla, and it is most of his sort of paper wealth. It's most of his wealth. It might be just under. So the most recent figure I could find suggested that of Elon Musk's wealth, 60% of it is made up of Tesla stock. However, obviously with Tesla stock going down almost a third in value, that could now be less. Elon Musk has lost around, Here we go. $126 billion US dollars of his personal wealth so far this year as shares of the EV company tumble. Yeah, so this is a reasonably big hit for him. One bit of a caveat to this, I think, is that, as some of you will have seen a moment ago, if we zoom out, what we actually see is that some of this stock dip is it coming back to a place that it was at just before the US election. There is also the context that the S&P 500 more broadly and the kind of all US stocks have taken quite a large hit since over the past few weeks. However, if we take into context what we actually see is a really interesting pattern is that around the 5th of November is here, if you can see where my mouse is. That was the point at which Donald Trump won the US presidential election. And clearly, what the market thought was that this was going to be incredible news for Tesla. I mean, in many ways, this still might be incredible news for some of Musk's other companies, right? His close alignment to Donald Trump is likely to mean that SpaceX gets more contracts from the US government. It is, there's the possibility it leads to the Boring Hole company coming back out of its hole to bore more tunnels. Starlink, as well as being a public-facing company that you can buy a Starlink connection, also offers its services to governments. So in Ukraine, Starlink has been used quite a lot for flying drones and stuff like that. So a lot of Musk's other companies are likely to still benefit from his relationship with Elon Musk, wherein Trump can kind of give certain contracts or give special privileges to those companies in a way that other companies might not have access to. Not entirely legit, maybe, but still a thing that might happen. However, there has been some market uncertainty about whether the same is true of Tesla. There are also some other factors in here as well. So one complaint on the part of Tesla shareholders is that actually all of the attention that Musk has been giving to the Cybertruck is maybe like counterproductive. Like Cybertruck has been a really big part of Tesla's messaging and market positioning over the past like couple of years, I think. I can't remember when they first said that they were gonna make it, but while it's like while it's very attention grabbing, the Cybertruck, it's actually not something that most people are likely to buy. And so, one complaint on the part of shareholders is actually, Elon Musk spending all the time kind of putting attention to this big attention grabbing vehicle, where actually maybe efforts would be better off going, the Tesla 3 is still good. Please buy our normal car. And sales were already or orders were already kind of coming down a little bit, but a lot of this sell-off does appear to be a result of the fact that, unlike a lot of Elon Musk's other companies, Tesla is a public-facing company which relies on customers buying its stuff, and therefore relies on that company being popular. That's not the same for SpaceX, right? Whether the general American public or people in Europe even or wherever like Elon Musk or not, or like SpaceX or not, doesn't really matter because its contracts are coming from the government. Starlink, a little bit of both. The Boring Company, right? You're not personally deciding whether your city digs a tunnel, right? Tesla, however, relies on ordinary members of the public buying its cars. It also, crucially, doesn't only rely on Americans buying its cars, it relies on people across the world buying its cars. And that means that Musk's association with Trump suddenly becomes a big problem. Because, the extent to which Tesla is Elon Musk and Elon Musk is Tesla at this point is, unavoidable. And what's been really interesting is the extent to which people have noticed this, and folks that are very opposed to Trump, but also to Elon Musk's specific activities within the Trump administration, have noticed the extent to which they can leverage that. And it's happened across the world as well. So, a little while back, in February, shortly after Elon Musk did that infamous Hitler salute at the in the Capital One arena following the kind of inauguration rally, but it was brought inside, led by donkeys, who are a activist organisation based in the UK, but led by donkeys did this stunt where they projected both Musk doing his Hitler salute and the word boycott in front of Tesla on the Gigafactory in Berlin. This is where a lot of the European Teslas are made. But that has continued to spiral. We've seen superchargers set in fire. Oh my goodness, we've seen more today, apparently. I don't... Where's Nanaimo? Everything Nanaimo news now. Everything Nanaimo. I love local news sites. Sorry, where is Nanaimo? Canada? Mate, this might be British Columbia. 2 superchargers destroyed an apparent artisan hours ago today. But we first saw this happen a week or so ago. This has repeatedly happened in the US, that supercharger stations have been set on fire. Which I will say, maybe electrical fires are a bit dangerous, but I don't want to be the killjoy here. I'm on record as being quite anti Elon Musk, and I was there before it was cool. I'm not gonna lie. I've been there a long time. Don't set yourself on fire accidentally. We've also seen Just Stop Oil in London poured orange latex over a Tesla robot. Presumably a mock-up of a robot. It would be silly if this was a real robot that just stands still all the time, right? We've seen protests outside Tesla dealerships.
Prices plummeting and dealerships being vandalized. As Fox 11's Christy Fajardo reports, today protesters demonstrated outside Tesla dealerships to share their wrath at the billionaire and his Doge activities.
Passers-by honk in support of...
This is so many more people than I would have thought. I don't know why. This, as someone who is, as I say, a long time Elon Musk watcher, quite the level of sentiment has kind of shocked me.
Signs like this one reading Elon Musk is a Dogebag. This protest outside the Tesla showroom is on the touristy 3rd Street Promenade in Santa Monica and is one of many in California, the automaker's largest U.S. market.
Elon Musk is cutting Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, food for hungry children. And that's not what the Republicans voted for. That's certainly not what the Democrats voted for. It's not what our country is about.
The fact is that protests against Tesla has already made his stock price drop about 40%.
This was a scene in Alhambra where more protesters gathered as part of the nationwide Take Down Tesla movement, fueled
Just
by
like
the billion.
Everywhere. There's been these massive protests outside showrooms. We've seen someone threw like a Molotov cocktail at a
Tonight,
dealership
authorities
in
say
Salem,
they arrested
apparently.
a man after he vandalized a Salem Tesla dealership, throwing explosives and later firing off a gun. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Anthony Costura, and this is The 10. Investigators say 41-year-old Adam Lansky torched a Tesla in January, then returned with an assault rifle to shoot up that dealership. Let's get right to our Ariel Yacobazi live.
Which is a lot, right? Let's just say that is pretty hardcore. In the UK, for some reason, we've seen quite a few of these in the UK, which I wanted to add because I've seen a few videos talking about this from a US perspective. A group calling themselves Overthrow Musk here in the UK also added some additional signage to a Tesla dealership in St Albans in the UK as well. Your local swastika showroom. Swastika appears to be the term that's taken off. I think the bit that's really struck me about this is partly the international element of it. Right, that Donald Trump is obviously creating a lot of enemies abroad through his tariffs. And Elon Musk is also creating many enemies himself through, doing a Nazi salute, etc. And in the US, he might be able to get away with certain things because, there is clearly support for Trump in the US. He did win more than 50% of the vote. However, Tesla needs not only Trump voters to be buying Teslas, but people who aren't Trump voters, people who live in states which are solidly blue. They also need Europeans to be buying Teslas, and people in other countries. And therefore, if Trump is making those enemies elsewhere in the US, but also elsewhere in the world, that's gonna be a big problem for Elon Musk. I will say I actually find some of this a bit lame. I think the swastika is a bit cheesy. However, I'm interested to see to what extent it works. There was an interview with Elon Musk last Tuesday after that car show at the White House with Fox Business, of course, because why expose yourself to any challenging questions? In this interview, Elon Musk does look a little bit concerned about the impact on his other businesses, both of the amount of work he's having to do as Doge chief, or whatever his particular title is at the moment, but also in terms of how things are reflecting upon that.
Elon Musk continuing to face heat over his work with Doge, the Tesla founder getting candid in a one-on-one interview with Larry Kudlow.
You giving up your other stuff? I mean, how are you running your other businesses?
With great difficulty. Yeah, I mean...
But there's no turning back, you're saying?
I'm just here trying to make...
Like, that's a man who's doing some reflecting?
Yeah, I mean,
But there's no turning back, you're saying.
I'm just here trying to make government more efficient, eliminate waste and fraud, and so far we're making good progress.
Tesla taking a hit.
Sorry, the fact it then just smash cuts to that chart of the stock price just falling is incredible. But it's really interesting how circular all this feels. Maybe not for everyone, but maybe particularly for me. Almost 5 years ago now, I believe, I made a video called The Fake Futurism of Elon Musk. This was back in a period where super cringe opening to this. But back in an era where Elon Musk was like the Tesla guy who was also in the Iron Man film, right? That was like, this is very much of an era now. Elon Musk was the real life Iron Man. He was a businessman who was also building technologies which were going to take us to the moon, self-driving cars, electric cars, right? And the video kind of, I don't think is super anti-Elon Musk himself. I don't think it's like the stuff that Elon Musk does is super duper negative, but I kind of explore like, why is it that people are so into Elon Musk? And kind of part of my argument is that I kind of look at the history of visions of the future and sort of argue that towards the end of the second half of the 20th century, and certainly in the first decade or so of the 21st century, our politics, our culture, our sort of collective imaginary of what the world could be like sort of failed to offer us many visions of the future. Our politics was very much about managing the present. Culturally, we were in a similar place. A lot of like nostalgic stuff. There didn't really seem to be many people offering like a, what will the world be like in 50 years, which seemed certainly not one which seemed positive, but almost it felt like when people looked into the future, they imagined the world pretty much as is, but maybe you've got the iPhone 23, right? Which often wasn't the case for a lot of the 20th century, a lot of the 19th century, right? People imagined the world changing rapidly. You know, you see those interviews, like black and white interviews on the BBC with kids where they're like, what do you think the world's going to be like in the year 1980 or the year 2000? And they're like, oh, we're flying cars and we're going to be doing all this. We sort of lost some of that. So my argument in the video is kind of that one of the reasons people are really into Elon Musk is that he kind of offers that. And I kind of do some comparing and sort of connecting of some dots between Musk providing a vision of the future and various politicians at the time doing similar, right? One of whom I'm fairly sure I mentioned in the video is Trump, but also Bernie Sanders, AOC, Jeremy Corbyn, like and various politicians throughout Europe who were like, do you know what? Actually, we could radically change the world in which we live and make it a better place to be. And you know, however I kind of suggest that Elon Musk's vision of that might be a little bit hollow, it was at least there. And the one thing I will always say is that the positive thing that Elon Musk has done in the world, and it is a very positive thing, is that he managed to make electric cars cool. Before Musk, electric cars were very much not cool. They were for people who wore vegan shoes, right? Like super eco people. And you still see it today. I was watching a Nick Ferrari, who is kind of right-wing radio personality in the UK.
role that he's playing in the new one.
And he was talking about he was talking about the Tesla boycott, and he was like, I'll hate it when I have to give up my petrol car for an electric car, right? For a certain kind of, particularly for old guys like this, but previously for like a lot of people, electric cars were not cool. And Elon Musk managed to make them cool through his own kind of personality being attached to that, through the way he marketed it, through the kind of like, what if we could take the model of the tech industry and attach that to a car, and that really worked. So it feels like what we're seeing now is unfortunately that kind of one good thing collapsing in front of him. Thank you so much for watching this clip from my Monday night live show. If you'd like to watch all of these clips ad and sponsor free, then you can do so over on my premium streaming service Nebula, where you can also watch the brand new comedy debate show Abolish Everything from the team behind Jetlag the Game and Wendover Productions. Filmed with a live audience in New York, Abolish Everything sees various comedians and improvisers make the case for the aspect of modern life that they'd like to see abolished and argue for that abolition against the political establishment. Over on Nebula, you can also, of course, watch my debut feature-length film, Boomers, which is maybe 4 months old now, I believe, as well as watching my Nebula exclusive class, How to Research Like a PhD Student, in which I take you through the process through which I research and turn all of that wonderful research into fantastic videos. And if that sounds of interest, then you can get a special 40% discount on an annual membership of Nebula by using my special link, go.nebula.tv/Tom Nicholas. Thanks so much for watching once again.